Pretty orange flowers. This is Christy Renee from Rewire and Christy Renee Healing Ministries. I am very tired tonight. I won't even lie about it. I had clients today. I worked in the kitchen today. And I'm still trying to heal. Probably will be for a while, I guess. I should even just quit saying it. From my heart issue, my lung issue in December, and my back keeps going out. So every time that happens, it's like I have to kind of start over again. So it's kind of a drag, but it's all good on that regard. So somebody asked a question today on the video I posted yesterday about, does heart coherence relieve fear? No, sorry, does brain coherence, does the whole brain posture or whole brain state help relieve fear from things that are trapped on your heart? So let me explain how this works a little bit, my understanding of it, and what I've noticed just working with people over time. So, you know, your brain has neurites. Your brain builds neuroplastic is what they call it. And the more you think about something, the more you participate in something, the more you feel emotion towards something, the more that something builds. So fear would be one of those somethings. The more you pay attention to it, the more you look at it, the more you participate in it, the bigger it's going to get, the bigger it's going to get, the bigger it's going to get. You have to do something else in order to basically release that fear. And there's all kinds of stuff you can do brain-wise. Turns out there's neurites on your heart also that store memory, that hold information, and that can actually cause issues. And much like the brain works, same kind of idea. The only difference is we didn't know about it until recently, and it took me a little bit of thinking about this to start to understand that if you're clearing the information from the brain, or you're working with it, right, in my case, observing it, I much would rather use the idea of observation than necessarily getting rid of something. And listen to the last video. It's all due to the idea that all of these things are just vibrations, and you need all the vibrations. But having said that, so you have neurites on your heart. How we know this is from a heart surgery that was done where a little girl, young lady, was passed away, and she had a good heart. And there was a young lady who needed a heart, so they did a transplant from the one young lady that was dying to the young lady who needed the heart. The information goes that the heart transplant was a success. It was exactly what was needed. And the little girl was doing well. The young lady was doing well until probably a few weeks after, maybe a few months, if I remember the story right. She started having these really bad nightmares, night terrors. And the heart surgeon was adamant that nothing was wrong with the heart. The surgery went perfectly. Everything was fine. But these crazy night terrors persisted. These nightmares persisted. So they finally went to a psychiatrist, and I think ended up bringing in a forensic artist of some sort, some kind of artist. And the guy was drawing pictures of what the girl was having nightmares about. So she was describing things to him, and he was drawing it out, basically. So the story went that what it ended up being was the girl who got the new heart was having memories from the girl who gave up the heart. So, you know, they had to obviously go talk to the family and we'll find out what happened to this girl. It turns out she was raped and murdered. And the information was stored on her heart, and they gave this heart to a new girl who started seeing and understanding, kind of, right? She was having the dreams, the visualizations of what this other girl went through. They actually caught the murderer because of the pictures being so well done, her descriptions being so good. I think, if I remember it right, she actually had words that the guy said before he killed the girl. And when they brought him into court, basically he couldn't deny it. So he admitted to what he had done and was prosecuted. Neurites on the heart store information, right? We know that at this point. We have evidence of it. We have working evidence of it. They can actually see the neurites that are on the heart. I have known people that have had crazy heart palpitations and crazy issues, and the doctors went in and burned the neurites off of these people's hearts, and then the heart started having all kinds of issues. So like, just kind of think about that for a second. So as I was understanding this and I was listening to this story, and I've heard it a few times at this point, it dawned on me one day, if there's neurites on the heart that store information, that store memory, and you're having trouble with something that you've already worked on from a brain standpoint, then it's obvious that it's locked in other places, right? My guess is, we know cells hold memory, muscles hold memory, right? There's all kinds of things that go along the same line. But the way the neurites on the heart work is very similar to the brain. So if you are trapped in an ongoing issue, an ongoing emotion that you can't quite get rid of, I would go more towards heart coherence instead of a whole brain state or a whole brain posture idea. And the reason is that your heart is a transducer. Your heart changes forms of information. And whether you understand it as spirit, or you understand it as your higher self, or however you want to look at it, your heart holds this information on the outside, and on the inside is where your higher self dwells. Your higher self only does a few things. It does a lot of things. But the way we look at emotions, think of it for a second, the attributes of God is what some would call it. Peace, love, joy. And by the way, thank you for being here. Whoever's in, I can't see the comments or anything, so I just want to bless you and thank you for being here. So peace, love, joy, compassion, gratitude, satisfaction, right? Those are all attributes of your spirit. Those are all things that your spirit is. They are not things that your spirit does. They are things that your spirit is. So your spirit is vibrationally a creature that holds those higher concepts that we call emotions in that regard. From an inside of the heart space, if you take information, and I've seen this over and over and over, and I know it works because I've seen it, I've watched it, I have evidence of it from experience, okay, that's the only reason I know it. I've never read this anywhere else. I've never heard anybody else really talk about it. But if you take information into your heart from your brain or anywhere else, your heart, inside that space, when you're coherent, will transduce it into a form that your spirit is. Peace is the one I tend to get the most. Peace, joy. I had a lady today I was working with, and we took some information off her heart that she recognized in the middle of a session and put it inside of her heart, essentially giving it over to spirit, and it was transformed into almost instant happiness. She was shocked because that was the thing that she's struggling with, is happiness. Let me see if I can see this. Yeah, heart coherence is very important. And it's interesting to me that most people want to bypass it for a gimmicky substitute. I hate to say that, but some of these protocols are just gimmicky, right? They work, they don't work, it's hit and miss, it's whatever. Your heart is steady. Your spirit, if you look at it in that form, is very steady. So if you take the information off your heart and put it inside your heart, take the information that is stored, the neurite information, you're effectively cleansing your heart. How we did it today was literally the lady identified what her problem was. So we'll say fear because the person who asked this question was referencing fear. So go on the outside of your heart and feel. So think top of your heart, the top of your heart, the valve down the front a little bit, down the back. And notice what you feel. She felt tightness and heaviness, literally on her heart. And she was like, holy cow. And I said, well, without trying to understand it, without trying to put a story to it or putting words to it or any of the rest of this stuff. I want you to just look at it, point at it, right? Really try and where in your chest, on your heart are you feeling it? And she singled out an area. And then I told her to assign it a color. Just look at it for a second. And the first answer, right? Always go with your first answer. And she saw a color. And I think it was gray, like a deep gray or something like that. But she assigned it the color. And then we took the color into the heart. Here's what we know from NLP. It's easier to move a color around than it is all the neural information. If you can feel it, sense it, see it in a form of color, you can just take that color and move it. And if you play with this, you'll see what I'm talking about. Most people kind of roll their eyes, but if you play with it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I had her move this gray color, this deep gray color, into her heart space. If you don't understand heart coherence, please go watch the free videos on my channel that are called Beyond Heart Coherence. It explains it in detail. Do exactly what it says, and you'll start to see it and get it pretty easily. If you have trouble, let's do a session, right? So let's just get to the heart of the matter, and let's do a session on it. But she took this gray color into her heart, and I said, now just watch, just observe. Take your hands off of it, right? Just observe what happens. As it started to dissipate, you could see her face softening. She said she felt lighter, she felt more expansive, things started to open up. And then I had her ask her spirit inside her heart, so at this point she's coherent, inside her heart space, ask your spirit, what else do I need to put in this place? Is there anything that you can give me to put where that deep gray color was? And suddenly she was like, oh, blue and, I think she said blue and purple or green and purple. But she got more color. Understand color. Color is a frequency. There's many hues of green. There's many hues of blue. There's many hues of red, seen and unseen. There are colors that we do not see with the spectrum that our two physical eyes can witness, right? So seen and unseen. The colors all have a frequency. They all have a vibration. That means they all have a tone. So we got color, we got tone, and in all of that, there's also sacred geometry. There's also vectors, angles, curves associated to a single hue of color. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on when you move just one color. And you just have to let it be. It just does what it does. Take your hands off of it and just let it work. Let it do its magic. She put it in her heart. She asked her spirit after she observed for a few minutes and watched it just it literally dissipate. And then she asked, what can we put there instead? What do you have that I can put in its place? She was given green and purple, I believe. And then she asked again, is there anything else I can put in the place of this gray or this deep gray? And she was given something else. She actually was given an understanding. And in that understanding, all of a sudden she totally got what her issue was. Right? Her heart lightened, her body lightened, she felt better. She got all kinds of new information on things that she could do. And it was so interesting to watch. If you are working with the neurites on the outside of your heart, that would be my recommendation, is to look at it, point at it, know what it feels like, right? So go for the feeling first. If it feels like fear, it feels like fear, right? So notice that feeling, and even maybe take the feeling apart a little bit if you can. It feels heavy, it feels weighty, it feels like I need to run. It feels like I'm shaking, right? Whatever it feels like. And then take that and look at it again and notice what color it is, right? And just close your eyes and notice. All of a sudden you'll see it. You'll get a color. First answer is always correct. Second answer is your brain kicking in, trying to give you more information. You don't want your brain's information. Your brain's information comes from your past. It comes from things you think you know. The first word is always from your spirit, right? This is not only from prophecy classes I took years ago. It's from NLP information. It's from all kinds of stuff that I've studied over the years. And if you go with that first inclination, that first inkling, that first word, 100% of the time you won't go wrong. You might not know where you're going, which happens sometimes, but you won't go wrong. So go with the first thing. So you get your color. Take that color and put that in your heart. Give it off to your spirit. Your heart will start processing it. Spirit will start processing it into something that it is. Peace, love, joy, compassion, gratitude, happiness, right? Think of all the attributes. And once you've got that, once you're sitting there and just watching it, just keep noticing. Notice how it feels. And then ask your spirit, is there anything else I can add to this? You'll get another color. You might get another reference. You might get another idea. And then go with that. What else? And ask what else. What else can I put in my heart? If you are not talking to your inner spirit at this point, you need to start doing that. You will not be able to do that by using a whole brain posture. It just won't get you there, right? It just won't. It has its purpose. It does its purpose relatively well for the most part. But if you're still struggling with whatever the thing you're struggling with is, if you're still struggling with that, become aware that it might be lodged somewhere else. The information might be somewhere else. And so just close your eyes and feel the issue. Notice it for a second. Be an observer. Don't fall into it. Just observe it. And then point at it. Put your finger on it, right? If it's in your shoulder, it's in your shoulder. Put your hand on it. Become more aware of it. And then assign it a color and go through the rest of the steps that I've already mentioned. When you do this, you're going to come out with a different feeling. Here's the kicker. This is the deal. You have to walk out the new information. You can't go back and tell the old story. So what I had this lady do today was tell me a new story. Who are you now? If that's gone, who are you now? How do you respond? How do you act? How do you be? How do you know? Right? So sit down and write things down. Grab a journal and just start writing some of this stuff down. The more you write down, the more you get it, the more you know, the more you'll be able to do this, the easier it gets. From a state of your heart, if you are walking from a state of your spirit, if I'm walking in my spirit from my heart, I don't do things the way my brain used to do them. Does that make sense? And I would go so far as to say that you can't. Right? So once you put that new color, and I had her do this, again, an NLP thing, I had her do this, put the new color in its place, and then test it. And I've done the test thing for years. It's the best litmus test in the world, is to put yourself in the place where you would have the issue. Test yourself. See what it feels like. See how you act. See how you react. But do yourself a favor and stay in your heart. Don't leave this state. Don't leave the new feeling. Because if you can do that, you will keep this change alive. You will keep things rolling forward. You will keep moving. You will keep becoming a new person over and over and over again. So testing it from an NLP standpoint is more, once you've got the color in place, the test is try and move it. Try and take it away. And then test it again. Try and take it out. Try and move it away. See what happens. She found out really quick she couldn't move it. She was like, that's there to stay. And I'm like, and you can keep altering it. So wait till another day, or wait till the issue, maybe it'll show back up. Maybe something will happen if there's another layer to it. When it shows back up, do it again. In the minute you feel it happening, this is the best place to make a correction to your system. And it's why I always say the best litmus test is to walk out in your day and test it. Do an alteration to the system and then walk face first into that thing that was scaring you. I'm not joking. The key to it is stay in your heart. The key to it is stay aware of who you truly are. The key to it is don't leave the new feeling that you just acquired. You're doing a number of things when you do that. you're not only getting back in touch with your spirit self and bringing that forward, you are also implanting or implementing or growing the neuroplastic to that new thing that you just put in, right? So for her, it was the colors green and purple, she said. All of the attributes of it, all of the qualities, right? So it includes tone, it includes the vibration, it includes the sacred geometry, the angles, vectors, and curves. It includes all of the seen and unseen, the known and unknown, the heard and unheard, right? There's sounds that we can't hear that go along with this. There are colors we can't see that go along with this. So when you're saying green and purple, when she's saying that, there's more to it than meets the eye. There's more to it than you can hear. There's more to it than you can possibly know. But then you have to test it. You walk into it, into the thing that was scaring you, and hold this new state. In doing that, you're creating neuroplastic. You want to become unshakable? Do you want to become unshakable? The only person who can shake me at this point, and I'm not joking about this, is myself. I do it really well, sadly. do you get what I'm talking about? It's interesting. Nobody can push my buttons anymore. Let me see what we got down there. Hola. Saying hi to Jim. Fell on your live feed. What's your gift? I'm new to this. My gift is talking spirit. My gift is helping people out of their fear, out of their emotional trauma. My gift is helping people see it, and my gift is actually teaching. So I teach people how to do this stuff. Once you learn how to do it, it's yours. Now it's your gift, right? And now the expectation is you make use of it. You handle yourself. You walk out into your life. You notice the changes. You become the one creating the world around you. And it's interesting how much difference you can make for yourself. But it is the do, right? You have to do the thing in order to reap the benefits. What I have noticed with a lot of people is they want to know how to do this, but they don't want to do the work. They want me to do the work. I don't do your work. I can walk you through it. I can teach you how to do it. And then the expectation is you learn how to talk to your spirit. You learn how to become your spirit, because you're not this physical body. You are not this physical body, right? This physical body is energy. Everything around you is energy. We pretty much know that at this point. And if you can really comprehend it, an out of vibration frequency can mess your whole system up, right? So on December 2nd, when I died, I think that's part of what happened, is I had some serious out of vibration frequencies. And Grandmaster Wolf literally told me that it was like I had literally been unplugged from the system for a few minutes. So understanding that, and I think it was part of my getting to understand this more, was understanding that if that's so, and it's all vibration and frequency, and we're talking about fear, that's just a frequency. In a world made up of frequencies, that's just one. And somebody chose to focus on it and then create a story to it and then relive the story in different regards over and over, right? As you age through time, your story changes. Your memory of the original event might fade, it might change, it might alter, but what you will find is the fear remains. So the goal is to understand it as just a frequency. That frequency is needed because it is a frequency that makes up the cosmos. Man labeled it fear. Man taught you how to be afraid. Man made you even more afraid. Look at the world we live in right now. And I really feel like any of what we call emotions are derived by man's concepts. We're taught it through man's understanding. And you'll notice the difference when you go into your heart space and you sit in that space, that cave, that place, recognizing it's your spirit, and your spirit is the attributes of peace, love, joy, compassion, satisfaction, happiness, gratitude, right? All of those things. And you start becoming that. All of those frequencies hold all of the frequencies of the cosmos. You can't really single them out. If you take away one frequency, like anger or fear, the way we were taught it, you're taking away an emotion. If you take it out of the system totally, you will be off balance. It's just a frequency, but it's a needed frequency. All of them are, right? It's what makes up this whole place. That was a long-winded answer to what do you do. So I teach you that stuff. That's what I do. My goal right now is to be on this channel daily, doing lives, answering people's questions, because I get a plethora of them. In emails, you can find my email under pretty much any of my videos. And I do sessions with people. I do live one-on-one sessions and help people understand themselves. I help walk you into your heart space. I help you sit there for a few minutes. When you're in your heart, your brain clears, right? The thoughts start to go away all by themselves, because spirit doesn't do that. Spirit doesn't engage in that. If you recognize yourself as energy, it's super easy to do, right? None of this is complicated. So I think that answers that question. Does a whole brain posture, I think was the question, take care of anything you have locked on your heart? Might not. I would do the work from a state of the heart. I would also, in that space, I mean, you could put yourself into a whole brain posture while you're doing your heart coherent work, but heart coherence will bring you into a whole brain state. Just by nature of what it is and how it works, it just does that. Did that answer the question? I hope so. I hope this blesses you. If it does, please like, share, and subscribe. Please subscribe. I'm trying to get over 6,000 subscribers at this point. I haven't done a whole lot to really work on getting subscriptions, but it's easier just to ask, and that's apparently how everybody does it. So if this helps you, it might help somebody else, and that's how I always think of this stuff, is that it helped me, and I hope it helps you, and I hope it helps somebody else. One step at a time. I do believe we can change the world. One step at a time, one person at a time. I do think that a lot of the stuff that we see going around us, while we have to go through it, I think it's gonna pass. If you stay in your heart, walking as your spirit, it's gonna pass way easier for you than it will probably to the people next to you. Does that make any sense? State of thinking in your brain, this world is a tough place. From a state of your heart, it looks totally different, right? You can see the unrest, you can see the uncivil actions, you can see the craziness, but you don't have to fall into it. You don't have to become it. You don't even have to participate necessarily. So that's kind of a cool thing about it. All right, I'm jumping off because, again, my phone's about to die. Take another look at my beautiful flowers. I love this porch. This porch has become my favorite place in the whole world. There's flowers all the way around it. My husband did this. Flowers and then a few vegetables. There's some food in there somewhere. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I bless you. I love you. Take it easy.